Hi YouTube, and this is JTrain997 back with another figure review, and this time it's going to be my Justice League Series 4 Zatanna. Now, Zatanna is from a very older line of figures, at least 2 or 3 years. And as you can see, her in the package, she comes with her large rectangular base, as all the Justice figures do. Her top hat, which I believe is removable, her magic wand, which is down there in the packaging, and realistic fishnets. Always love realistic fishnets. So, of course, the other characters in the wave, her little bit on the side just says, the sexy sorceress Zatanna uses her magical abilities to battle for justice and entertain audiences. Of course, on the back, nothing really special there. So, Zatanna looks like a great figure. Let's pull this bad girl out of packaging. Now here she is on her base, and you're going to notice she's at a really weird angle. And that's for the simple fact that the slightest movement will knock her off her base. She has one foot peg in her high heel that does not attach to either of the pegs on this giant rectangular base well. Now granted, I don't like the base, but I had already accepted the fact that it was a poor base. I mean, every figure in this line comes with the same base. So pushing it off to the side doesn't work. It's worth noting that she can't stand on her own. She can't stand with the base, unless you want her at this horrible leaning angle. And so she can't stand. That's nice. I also tried a DC Universe Classics base with her, and it simply didn't work. Now, granted, if you'll also notice, her hat is not on her head. Here's her hat. You'll notice it is sculpted to her hair. Doesn't fit. Now, granted, if you do have it sitting still, you can prop it on her head. Or it'll stay for a little bit, as you can see. It doesn't really stay. Even though it's sculpted, it doesn't like to stay on. So, to have the hat stay on, you have to have her stand. Thanks to the base and her poor design of feet, she can't stand. So, the hat is pretty much useless. Unless you want to put it in her hand, which I actually did. A lot of pictures online show it. Get a good look at her hand there. You'll see how very little space she actually has. Her hat cannot fit in her hand. You just simply pop it in there, and it won't stay. Can't fit in her head, can't fit in her hand. That's nice. Her other accessory, which is her wand, very simple. Worried about it being fragile, but it's actually pretty sturdy. She has even less room in this hand, and as you saw her holding it before, that is as far as her wand can go in her hand or be pulled out. The wand does fit nicely in her hand, but still, at this point in the game, it's pretty much pointless. Yeah, it fits nicely in her hand. The wand's a nice accessory. Should be. But overall, so, onto her fishnets. Much like the Black Canary in DC Universe Wave 9, except this came out way before, she does have realistic fishnets. But she has this god-awful seam running down the back of both of them, which just makes the figure look atrocious. Not letting her coattails fall back down. The coattails do a bit to cover them up, but you can still see them. So, on to the figure's articulation. Here's the leg movement. That's it. No other movement than that. Some slight torso movement. A little bit in the head, mostly hindered by the hair. Arms do have surprisingly a free range of movement. That's what I mean to say. Would lead to a lot of nice poses. Had the hat accessory work, and not just the wand. And as you can see, her arms have the standard range of movement for a DC Universe Classics even. Not except for wrist. Wrist don't seem to want to rotate. Except, well, left arm, wrist does not rotate. Right arm, wrist does rotate. So, let's get her sculpted. Now, it's a very subtle difference, but there's some major changes from the box art to the final product we got with Zatanna, which I didn't mind. I expected that. But overall, this figure cost me $20, and it's an older figure. This is by far one of the worst figures I've ever had the misfortune of dealing with. It's the only version of Zatanna out there that has Zatanna in her more popular current outfit. But if you get this figure, you have to deal with the fact that you can't put her hat on her head or in her hand unless you're willing to use some super glue. Her wand fits well enough in her hand, and that's fine. But overall, the figure's just plain terrible. I cannot recommend this, not for $20, not for $5. if you're a diehard Zatanna fan, I know there's an identity crisis with her in her classic outfit. I don't have it, but it's got to be a far cry better than this. This is JTrain 997. Zatanna gets a very gracious 4.5 out of 10. I do not recommend her. The only thing I recommend about this figure is that you find every reason possible not to buy her. So, without further ado, this is JTrain 997, and I'll see you soon, YouTube.